This is floodwarn's first weather forecast on a video format. I'm not used to doing this, so bear with me a bit. We're going to talk about the current cold spell. Today is the 23rd of February, and we've been talking about this since the 6th of February, and we're going to go through first why it's happened and what's likely in the next week or so. So first of all, why are we suddenly going into a very cold spell, something that we probably haven't seen for many years? And that is due to something known as a sudden stratosphere warming. We could first see this around the turn of the month. As we went into February, we could see it was likely. The effects of where them effects would be were a little bit harder to predict, but it's become ironed out as time's gone on. So first of all, what is a sudden stratosphere warming? Well, to look at it, what we'll do is we'll have a look at this image here. The stratosphere is the upper part of the atmosphere, and the troposphere is more where our weather comes from. So it's basically a wave is broken up in the upper atmosphere. That moves down and it disrupts the vortexes that go around the planet. And we'll have a look at them now. Basically, and it is very basically, what happens is we have winds going around the planet due to the rotation of the Earth and the changes from the heat in the tropics to the cold in the poles. And then winds are almost always a west to east circulation. With different names to them. We've got the polar vortex, we've got the North Atlantic oscillation, the polar jet stream, the jet stream. All these things bring our weather from the west towards the east. A sudden stratosphere warming sort of breaks that down. It can break the vortexes into two. It can disrupt them, it can reverse them, things like that. And different stratosphere warmings will affect different places in different ways when they happen. So that's basically what's happened. And the reason it's happened, and I'm going to go into show you this if I can, that basically our weather, up in the top of the atmosphere, you have planetary waves going across, these waves of air, just like the waves in the sea, and when they're nice and smooth like the one behind the picture. If you imagine standing near the shore of the sea and a wave like that comes up to you, basically you just lift up with the wave and drop down the other side. It's a nice, pleasant, easy experience ride, whatever you want to call it. It's nice and easy. The difference is when one of these waves breaks, like so, now what you have, instead of that nice smooth ride over the wave, it's going to try and tumble you, it's going to try and push you underneath, it's very disruptive, it's turbulent, and so that's basically what's happened up in the upper atmosphere with the airs. And this causes a warming effect. It's quite a significant warming, and the air can only go downwards, it can't go up, the wave comes down, and basically it disrupts these vortexes. And in this case, the vortex is reversed, and so we have cold air. Instead of air coming off the Atlantic, which is mild, wet air, we start to have the more drier, but much, much colder Siberian air. And so we're going to look at that now and see what kind of effects it's going to bring to us. So here we are. This is two of the main models, and we can look at them today. You can see around 48 hours there's very little difference between the main models. The GFS here is the American model and the European one, ECM, over here on the right. If you look at them, you can see the cold coming in, it's coming down here, and there's not much difference between them. They've pretty much got a handle of what's initially going to happen. There's only slight subtle differences which don't really matter that much at this scale, at this time scale. So what we're going to do, we're going to move forward a little bit. We're going to jump to perhaps 96. Sorry. And now we can see by here, Tuesday, we've got quite a lot of cold air coming over the UK. What we also have, though, is this little feature here where the mouse is. It's on both of them, and there's a couple of subtle differences, but nothing too great at this stage. This is a low pressure, and this is the moisture that's needed really to really set off some significant snow, or the possibility of it. We're going to run these two models forward and have a look at what they believe will happen, and there's a little bit of a significant difference between where the two models go with this. But at this stage, let's have a look at the forecast at this stage. And what we've had now, since Sunday, late Sunday, early Monday, we'd have had the first of the really, really cold air coming across what is basically a fairly warm English Channel. When I say warm, it's like 6-7 degrees. I wouldn't suggest a dip in it. But it's warmer than the air that's coming across it by quite a lot. So what you have some convection showers forming, perhaps some thunder snow. It could be that great if we don't have too much wind shear up above to cut the tops off them. More of that, yeah, it's possible. But yeah, constant snow showers. So from areas like East Anglia, Suffolk, Norfolk, Kent, right up the east coast towards Leeds, Newcastle, you should start seeing fairly persistent, constant snow showers, and over time they're going to give a good covering, a couple of centimetres, enough to cause perhaps a little bit of disruption on the roads, and of course it doesn't take a lot to close the schools. So yeah, some disruption to people's lives already here, and a very, very significant wind chill. And that wind chill is right across the country at this stage. So even by Tuesday, even in Wales, you will be feeling it really cold. And there's always a possibility of the odd school closure due to heating systems not working properly or breaking down. So just be aware of that as well. Most of the school closures will be at this stage on the East Coast. Later on Tuesday, I would expect most of these showers, due to the tight isobars. We'll just nip in a little bit closer and have a look at these isobars, if I can. And as you can see, they're getting quite close together there. So I would suspect that the showers will start making their way further inland. And so Wales could now be seeing some snow showers, some snow flurries, and perhaps a covering even here. So this is starting to spread across the country by this time. Tuesday, perhaps into Wednesday, it's starting to affect a lot of the country. It's not significant snow in the west, it's just perhaps some covering, but the snow will start to become significant perhaps further on the east coasts. So let's go a little bit further now and see what these low pressures that we talked about, these ones here and here. Let's have a look at what they do, and I'm going to go up to, wrong chart, sorry, 144 hours, and we're talking now Thursday, and we can see now that the GFS model has this right off the coast of Portugal. Let's move my picture out of the way, you don't need to see that. Right off the coast of Portugal, and we've got some really strong winds coming across the UK at this time. Wind chill really will be a factor. Perhaps -1-0 in the day, but with a wind chill, we could be talking -7, perhaps feeling like -10. All right, just be aware that it's only mammals that feel the wind chill. Okay, it's mammals only. But we're talking very cold temperatures at night and very cold temperatures in the day. I mean, extreme in the night. We could be talking -5, -6, even in places like Cardiff. Any snowfields, we could be more talking minus double digits. So just be aware of that. In the day, closer to about 0, I'd thought. So we're looking at this low, and we can see the American model, GFS, has this just off the coast of Portugal. Whereas, if we go and have a look at the the European model, it doesn't seem at first glance that there's a lot of difference. It's still off Portugal, but it's a long way further out, and that is quite significant. That's a couple of 100 miles further out. It's also 980 on there, and it's probably about 98. Ooh, 980 again, perhaps on there. It's not much difference there, but it's difference in its position. And we're going to roll that forward, and that is significant. We've also got a huge high here over Greenland. And you can see it on both of them, although it's a little bit further north on the American model, and it's a little bit, well, quite considerably deeper. That's quite a high that they got in place there. I'm really having problems with my computer. Bear with me. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take that on again further. And this is for next Friday. Now what you have in the American model is the low pressure has now moved very quickly northeastwards, northeastwards, and deepened. And what's happened is the isobars here would be indicating very strong winds. It's bumping into very cold air, so I would expect most of the moisture off it to be snow. And so we could be looking at blizzard conditions if that was to happen. Can I emphasize if? Because if we go across now and have a look at what the European model says. Now, the low has filled in quite a lot. It's not as deep as it was. And in this case, it's moved into an area of the Bay of Biscay kind of area. What would this do? This probably would still bring some snow into the south, because if we look at the isobars here, we've got a little kink in them, and that normally indicates that's somewhere where the weather fronts or a little trough would be. So I would expect some more persistent snow along that line somewhere. But it also has the potential to keep the cold a bit longer. It hasn't disrupted it. What the winds always go round a low pressure from anti-clockwise, so it's sort of helping keep the cold air trapped in place and over the UK. Whereas if we go back over to the GFS, again we've still got the winds going round in an anti-clockwise manner. However, if this carried on going up, the chances are it would cut off the cold air that's coming from Siberia and eventually allow some warmer air, some less cold air to come in. And with that, we'd end up with a mushy mess rather than nice crisp snow. So that's the two possibilities there. Which one's more likely? Well, neither of them, to be honest. Neither's more likely than the other. They're both very, very feasible, but I would suspect we're more likely to see something in between the two. Neither quite model getting it right, and that's something more in the middle between the two of them comes out, which would mean we have fairly significant snowfall, especially in the south, and then cold weather would continue for a little bit longer. So that's where we're at the moment. Let's have a look what else I have to show you. We've got some snow charts here to show you. These are for towards the end of next week. Please don't take these as anything likely or anything like that. They're just some possibilities that it's throwing up, and mainly due to that low pressure that we were looking at. This is the GFS chart. It's showing moderate to perhaps heavy snow. There would be high winds, and that snowfall would be fairly disruptive for a time. The only thing I would say with that is, if that model is right, the chances are that it wouldn't last too long. So perhaps if you do like the cold and snow, the ECM is the better model, and something in between would probably be about perfect. So that's why we've got this cold snap coming. Like I said, we've been forecasting it since the 6th of February. It's caused by the stratosphere warming, which hopefully you understand a little bit about. You don't need to understand everything, just that it's wave breaking up in the atmosphere, disrupts the polar vortex, and this allows cold weather to come down, or colder air I should say, somewhere across the northern hemisphere, and in this case it's going to be Europe and the UK that goes well and truly into the freezer. What can I add to all this is, I think perhaps if you haven't got a sledge now and your kids like to have a little slide in the snow, it might be a good time just to get one, just in case. But be aware of them school closures. Be prepared if you're going anywhere in a car, especially off the main routes, because it doesn't take a lot. In this country, we haven't got the infrastructure for this kind of weather because it doesn't happen that often. And so people can get caught out. It only takes a lorry to jackknife in the snow on a hill, and nothing's going to go past it. So you're all stuck. So plenty of food and water, some drinks. Take some hot drinks if you can. Take a flask of hot drinks, cup of tea, coffee, perhaps some soup. Always have a little bit of food in the car. Crisps are easy, they'll keep for a while. If you can, a shovel, jump leads, always handy to get somebody else out of a mess, not just yourself. And of course, some salt and grit if you can take it. So take your time. Only travel if it is snowing and it is starting to look a bit worrisome. Take your time. Try to avoid the travel in the first place. And always listen to the Met Office warnings and the forecasts of your favourite TV or radio station. They will be updating you, especially your local stations, on travel conditions and, of course, the forecast itself. Here at Floodwarn, we will do our best to keep you updated and to show you any changes that are likely and what's the most likely forecast. But it will be almost nowcasting for some areas, so please keep updated. And the Met Office, one of the best organisations in the world for forecasting, follow their warnings. If they're putting a warning out, it's for a reason. So take care, and I hope to see you on either the next forecast or the next video forecast here at Floodwarn. Thank you.